Trump's own Treasury Secretary was on Fox News being confronted about the president's tariff scheme. Take a look.
Okay, so let's talk about some analyses on these tariffs. From the AP, they see this. A J.P. Morgan Chase Institute analysis finds a critical group of U.S. employers would face a direct cost of $82.3 billion from President Donald Trump's current tariff plans. They go on to say the investment bank Goldman Sachs said in a report expects companies to pass 60% of their tariff costs onto consumers. Our most recent poll shows that 57% of Americans do think the tariffs are going to hurt the U.S. economy. So some of the experts, everyday Americans, they have real concerns about how this is going to cost them. What's your message to them?
Well, I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. I think TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, has turned into tariff derangement syndrome. As soon as you call them the Trump tariffs, 90% of Democrats hate them. And I'm going to have to disagree with Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan. The empirical data shows that we have seen no inflation thus far.
So that was Scott Bessent. He is Donald Trump's secretary pick, and he is a very wealthy hedge fund executive that has a net worth exceeding $500 million, just to give some context. And it shows how deeply out of touch he is with everything that is going on, especially as it pertains to Americans struggling every single day. Instead of engaging seriously with the polling data that we have seen already that shows what this would mean to so many people, Bessent chose to dismiss the public's utter frustrations with all of this as just another case of TDS, or Trump derangement syndrome. It is a favorite amongst the MAGA base. This kind of deflection minimizes the very real economic pain that we are all feeling. Anyone, really, except for the top 1%. That could be lower class, middle class, even though they're completely eviscerating the middle class, due to these tariffs that they are putting in place. And while Bessent enjoys immense luxury and financial security, most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck at this point in time, and we are certainly feeling the squeeze of rising prices. Tariffs don't just impact trade, though. They hit us at the grocery store, for example, the gas pump, and just about everywhere else in American society. And the thing about this is it's easy for someone worth over $500 million to shrug it off and use buzzwords, but the average person, they are real. And they are very overwhelming to us. By waving away these concerns and chalking them up to politics as usual, Bessent isn't just ignoring the data, he's ignoring the people that have to live with these policies and live with the consequences. But to be fair, this approach is par for the course when it comes to Trump and much of the MAGA Republican Party. Rather than engage with facts or data, they sidestep reality and instead serve up inflammatory rhetoric designed to energize their base. And sadly, it works. It's less about governing, though, with accountability, and more about distraction, deflecting blame, fueling outrage, and shifting away from policies that harm the very people they claim to represent. At the end of the day, it's not about solutions or improving lives. It's about consolidating power, protecting wealth in the top 1%, and leaving Americans to pay the price. Bessent then went on to claim that many of the U.S.'s trading partners are simply factoring the tariffs into their profit margins, as if foreign corporations are just absorbing the cost out of the goodness of their hearts.
We're not going to see that. And thus far, we haven't even seen the one-time price adjustments. What we are seeing, the business model for many of our trading partners, especially in Southeast Asia, is to produce, and the manufacturers in those countries are taking the price increases into, or the tariffs into their margins.
Yeah, right. That statement insults the intelligence of everyday Americans who are already seeing the rising prices firsthand. Bessent suggests that multinational manufacturers and exporters whose entire business models revolve around maximizing profits at all costs are willingly accepting lower margins just to keep American consumers happy. That's not how global capitalism works. In reality, companies almost always pass increased costs down the supply chain, and it's the end consumer, the American worker, a parent, a retiree who is going to pay more. From groceries to appliances to cars, tariffs show up as higher prices at checkout, not as a charitable deduction from some overseas executive's bottom line. So this kind of comment shows just how disconnected Bessent and much of the Republican cabinet is from these economic realities that we will face, that Americans do face. It's either deeply naive or willfully misleading to pretend that tariffs don't hit consumers hard. But again, it's easy to make claims when you're worth $500 million or more. And you have that sort of cushion, and you don't have to worry about groceries or rent prices, mortgages, etc. So where this comes full circle is I recently spoke with economist Richard Wolff and got him to weigh in on the Trump administration's impact on everyday Americans' financial security. Take a look.
What they did is cheap advertising. When a company that, I'm going to pick something, makes banana splits, hires an advertising agency, they tell you everything good they can think about in terms of banana splits. Oh, you'll feel wonderful. Oh, it's delicious. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. They don't tell you about the problems. This has got 800 calories, or this has got no nutrition at all. Oh no, that's not what an advertiser does. An advertiser hypes the good news and hides the bad news. That's junk. And by the way, Democrats do this also. I'm not appealing. This is not a partisan thing.
I agree.
This is a tragedy that comes out of Biden and his news person every bit as much as, maybe almost as much as Trump and Levitt. But this is stuff which, if you have even just a little understanding of these things, you know you're listening. Look, when we hear a commercial, that's, say, a commercial for a bar of soap, and we hear the announcer say, buy this brand of soap because not only will you clean yourself up by using it, but it'll transform your sex life. Okay, we giggle. We giggle. Why? Because we understand the nonsense here. We know what they want. They want to sell the soap. They want us to buy that brand of soap. Okay, they want that. They make money off of that. But the rest of it is noise, is junk, because they think it's cute, and maybe you'll giggle, and maybe you'll feel better about buying that soap. Maybe you'll actually believe it'll do something for your sex life. But it's noise, it's junk. That's what we're getting here.